5 strings, but when you have only 1 string, so he said we cannot do but play on the only string we have. What is the only string? Your attitude. You might not be able to change any other thing, but you can change your attitude. I went further. He said the only thing we can do is to play on the 1 string we have, and that is our attitude. And he said he's convinced that life is 10% what happened to you and 90% of how you react to it. Is somebody understanding me? We're in a school this morning. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of your reactions to what happens to you. So that is to say, it's all about you. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitude. You are in charge of the way you behave. There's nothing like, well, this is how God made me and I cannot change. You can change. Say to your neighbor, you can change. You can change because you were not born like that. You developed that attitude, and you can equally drop those attitudes so that you can receive God's best. Am I communicating? Many a times we pray and pray and pray and pray, and the blessings are relieved. Then for you to receive it, you hinder yourself because you don't have the right attitude. And we're going to deal with that today. Somebody understanding me? Now let me give you some points on how to choose the right attitude. How to choose the right attitude. Number 1, take responsibility for your attitude. I said what? Take responsibility for your attitude. Always remember that the situation you live in doesn't have to live in you. The situation you live in doesn't have to live in you. For instance, in Aba now, we see wickedness in manifestation. We see evil in manifestation. That's the situation. Now, because I am living in this situation, should I become wicked because wickedness is reigning? Talk to me. Should I automatically become wicked because of what is in the air, because of what is happening? You have to remember that. Your attitude don't come from your circumstances or personal history. Your attitude does not come from outside yourself. It comes from within. Mark 7, because I want to drive this message home. Because there are so many blessings waiting for us to claim, that we must develop the right attitude. Mark chapter 7 verse 21. I read it again. It says, from where? From where? From within, out of the heart of man, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornication, murders, thefts. I'll take time to explain that more. So it is from within. So if your attitude isn't as good, remember I said the point is take responsibility for your attitude. So the first rule of winning is don't beat yourself. You may ask me, how do I beat myself? If your attitude isn't as good as you expect it to be, and you fail to take responsibility, then you are beating yourself. You know your attitude is not as good as it's supposed to be. And instead of you to take responsibility, you say, well, I would have been a good girl. My parents died when I was early, so they didn't train me. I would have been this, if not for this. Instead of you to take responsibility, you are pushing it to someone else. Then you are beating yourself. But if you can learn to take responsibility, then the solution of your problem has started. Am I communicating? If you can look in the mirror and you can with honesty look at the mirror, that person you are seeing in the mirror, you say to that person, you are responsible for the way you are. And when you see yourself that you are responsible, that means solution has come. It means you can do something. But when you look at the mirror, you say, no, you are not responsible. Another person is responsible. You will remain the way you are. Am I communicating? You have to take responsibility. And then we come to the point number 2. Evaluate your present attitude. Evaluate your present attitude. to improve your attitude, you need to assess where you are starting from. Where are you now? You need to assess where you are starting from, where you are now. This may take some time. Depending on how self-aware you are, it may even be difficult. The key is to try. Look at yourself objectively. Separate yourself from your attitude. Look at yourself. Separate yourself from your attitude. Your goal is not to condemn yourself. You are not looking at yourself to condemn yourself. Are you understanding me this morning? I'm taking you somewhere. Please follow me because I know you'll be blessed. Your aim, your goal is not to condemn yourself. No. Your aim is to see yourself clearly the way you are so that you can make positive changes. And as you are looking yourself the way you are, what do? We are still under number 2. You have to identify problems about yourself. Still under number 2, looking at yourself the way you are, trying to evaluate yourself. And then number 1, you try to identify problem feelings about yourself. You ask yourself, when do you feel most negative about yourself? That's a work you must do. When do you feel most negative about yourself? What is that thing that makes you feel negative about yourself? What is it that when you are doing, you feel most negative about yourself? What do? Write it down. For you to change, it takes work. If you run away from the work, the change will not come. And when the change doesn't come, you remain where you are. They said the worst form of insanity is doing the same thing, the same way you have been doing it, and you expect a change. Will there be change? No, you will still get the same result. I put this flower here every Sunday. Another Sunday, I put it here. Then I want to change the face of this altar. For me to change the face of this altar, I have to change some things. Does it come by prayers? I will only ask God for wisdom. And then the wisdom must be put to work. I come, I think. What do I do? Okay, maybe I'll remove this flower, put it another place, the pulpit another place, and then make some changes. When I make some changes, I will see changes. Am I communicating? So when you do a particular thing the same way over and over, it is called insanity. So write it down how you feel, what that thing that makes you feel negative about yourself. Then secondly, what do you do again? Problem feelings. You identify problem feelings related to others. Problem feelings related to others. What causes you the greatest problems when dealing with others? That's what I mean. Problem feelings with others. You ask yourself, what causes me great trouble when dealing with others? Is it that when I'm dealing with others, I get angry? And when I get angry, everything just scatters? Or is it when I'm dealing with people, I'm never patient enough? Because of that, everything scatters, or I don't carry people along. Are you getting the point? Because we all deal with people in your business, in your office, in the church, wherever, every area of your life, wherever you go, you have to meet people, right? And we are trying to talk about how you can get along. So what are the things that makes you, as you are dealing with people, it doesn't allow you carry them along? What do? Write it down. You have looked into yourself and now you are talking about people. You can't carry people along. What is that negative feeling related to others? Write it down. Then C, under 2, identify problem thinking. Because we are the sum of our thoughts. Now you ask yourself, what negative thoughts consistently control my mind? What is that negative thoughts? Every time it comes, it controls your mind. And when it comes, it lowers your pace. Every time it comes, what is that negative thoughts? What do? Write it down. How many things now? When you are evaluating yourself, you start from yourself, and then people, and then your thought, you write that down. You may not be able to change your attitude for the better unless you know what is currently impacting it from the to the worst. If I don't know what is making me behave the way I behave, There's no way I can correct myself. Am I communicating? When I know what is causing it, I will go to the root to deal with that problem. And that takes us to point number 3. When you have evaluated yourself, you do what? You develop the desire to change. It is not, it's not enough to take responsibility. Evaluate yourself. After that, what necessary? You must do what? You must develop the desire to change. The desire to change is the key to growth in all areas of life. Most people desire improvement, yet at the same time, they resist change. The problem is that you cannot get one without having the other. Change is possible only if you want it badly.